Okay, hello everyone. Today our group will give us our presentation. For our projects, we aimed at to build an effective recommendation model and user segmentation. And for the final goal of this project is to recommend the customers with possible food performance users based on the same clusters. And the data is the customer-based information with their food performance divided from the Alibaba, the Chinese international technical companies about the e-commerce. So why we selected this technique? Yeah, because the amount of the data is usually very large. So we first use the clustering to group similar groups such as elderly, middle-aged, and children. Then the content-based recommendation system is used to accommodate groups of people with similar far food performance to the users. Okay, so our presentation will divide it into 4 parts. For the first one, we will give us the data and the background. Then we will talking about the data processing. For the third part, we will give us some like a user segmentation examples. And last one, we will talk about the food recommendations. For the part 1, the data and the background, I have mentioned some a bit before. And our topic is final to do the user segmentation based on the user informations. So, and our data source is from the Alibaba Cloud 10K, yeah. Because we know that Alibaba is a Chinese biggest e-commerce company, so they have a lot of data resources from the customers. And for the data and the data features, for our database, we have 1,000 users inside. In this database, they have everyone that perform the food tables, like everyone that perform the food list for every users. And for the data features, we have two variables list. The first one is the user table and the table, the food table. For the user table, we have like it's about user ID, name, gender, age, consumption status, these varieties. And for the tables, we have like user ID, food, every food, like it's about like 30 variables. Next, our group members will give us more details about that. Same.
Okay, the part 2 is about the data pre-processing, and 3 data processing methods were implemented for the clustering. So the first, we used the label encoding to convert categorical columns like gender to the numerical. And second, after labeling, we implemented the standard scalar function in the sklearn to normalize the range of features of the data. And it standardized the features by removing the mean and scaling to union variance. And the last step we did is to, in order to retain all the important information, we implemented the principal component analysis, PCA, before the clustering, since that PCA is a widely used statistical technique for the unsupervised dimension reduction. And yeah, here you can see 2 reasons for PCA. The first one is the higher number of the features, which is really hard to dealing with it. And the second one is many features are correlated, so we need to, and most of them are redundant, so we need to remove them or reduce them. And here is the 3 table after this remaster, and you can see here normalization and the PCA and the labeling. And this plot is about the 3D projection of data in the reduced dimension. Here we have 3 dimensions about the data. Okay, the next part is about the clustering. I'll hand it to the Peiyi side. Okay.
Okay, for this part, we use unsupervised learning to do the user segmentation. And for the clustering, we choose 3 clustering methods: the hierarchical clustering and the k-means, and also DB-scan. And for hierarchical clustering and the k-means, they are centroid-based or partition-based clustering algorithm. And the distance of each point from each centroid is calculated. And for DB-scan, it's a density-based clustering algorithm. And you can see the 2 graphs. They show the differences between the 2 clustering algorithms, and also the difference between the density-based and also centroid-based. And you can say by using DB-scan, the groups are more likely to be divided by using density. And next page. Okay, then for agglomerative clustering, hierarchical clustering, we need to use elbow method to determine the number of clusters to be formed later. And it can be seen that 5 is the best number of clusters to be used in the following steps. You can see in the graph. Okay, next page. And for the agglomerative clustering, initially each data point is considered as an individual cluster, and at each iteration, the similar clusters merge with other clusters until one cluster or k clusters are formed. And in this project, in this method, we use 5 as our cluster numbers. And this is the graph, the result. Okay, next page. And for the k-means, the k-means algorithm starts with a first group of randomly selected centroids, which are used as the beginning points for every cluster, and then performs iterative calculations to optimize the positions of the centroid. It has creating and optimizing clusters when added. First, the centroid has stabilized. There is no change in their values because the clustering has been successful. And second, the defined number of iterations has been achieved. And this is the results for the k-means method. Okay, next one. Okay, for the DB-scan, it's a density-based spatial clustering of application with noise. So it's a basic algorithm for density-based clustering. So we cannot use the cluster number generated by using elbow method. We need to find optimal epsilon EPS. The maximum distance to points can be from one another while still belonging to the same cluster. And you can see from the graph that we can do the best EPS is 0.3. And it can discover clusters of different shapes and size from a large amount of data, which is containing noise and outliers. Now you can see the result from this graph. Next page. Yeah, this is the result of DB-scan. And for the density base, you can see there are a lot of same color points, but actually not very like a group. So this is not a good choice. And for the following recommendation steps, we choose k-means clustering results as our group labels. And part 4 will be presented by Jay New.
Okay, after clustering, we build a recommendation system for users so that everyone using our application can find others who share the same food preference with him. And this is the data set after clustering. And as we mentioned above, we use the 3 clustering method, and we finally decided to use k-means clusters. Next, please. And in order to achieve this goal, there are 2 steps we need to take. The first one is to I mean, once a new user comes in, we need to label him by using the clustering model. And for the purpose of test, let's say the user 25 is a new user and it's labeled as class 1. And then we want to find out all the users in class 1 who is the most similar to his food preference. And then find all the users in class 1. So next, please. And the second one is to vectorize the food list by using the count vectorizer. And this is a way how computer can understand the human language. And then we use this matrix to calculate the cosine similarity between different users. Next, please. Finally, we use this recommendation function to find the most similarity between different users. Next, please. So this is a demo, and we can see actually the first parameter is the ID, which means the one you want to make recommendation, and we can see once we input ID with 25, and we will get the top 10 users who share the most similar food preference. Of course, the first one is himself, and this is for the purpose of comparison. And we can see basically everyone in this list would like to eat hamburgers, and it works very well. Okay, next. Okay, one of the drawbacks of this algorithm is that it can recommend food for users. For example, people who like eggs might also like milk, and we want to recommend milk for those people. So this is a problem that we should solve in the next stage. Okay, thanks.